last couple months have been absolutely crazy for Team of the Weeks and the prices. They originally went up just before Team of the Season because players anticipated them being needed for Team of the Season SBCs. As soon as Team of the Season was released and not as many Team of the Weeks were needed, this did mean that all the players crashed and most of them went down to just above discard value. But just as Team of the Season finished, a new promo rolled in, which was Festival of Football. This was there to celebrate the Euros, and during this time there were no Team of the Weeks pushed to the game, but they were still needed for different SBCs, so this made them increase in their price, going from what was originally 10k all the way up to 40k. Now that the Euro promo is over, it's made a lot of these players drop, which definitely opens the doors for us traders to make a lot of coins, especially with what I'm going to be showing you in today's video. But before I do get into the method, if you do enjoy the content here and want to see a bit more from me, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. I upload FIFA 21 trading tips every single week, and now that we're going into territory of FIFA 22, I will also be giving you the latest news and updates about FIFA 22. So if you do want to stay up to date, then make sure you are following the channel. And getting back into the video, it can be difficult to trade with Team of the Week cards in the current climate of Ultimate Team. But with how things have gone over the past couple of months, it's made a lot of Team of the Week cards extremely rare, which does open a door for us traders to make a lot of coins before the end of FIFA 21 Ultimate Team. When you search up any type of Team of the Week player, most of the time you're only going to be finding a few on the market. This is because EA has not been releasing any Team of the Week players, but has continued to make them requirements for different SBCs. So as time goes on, there's obviously going to be less and less on the market for different types of players. As a small method, you can actually go through each player you find, compare the price of the cheapest versus the second cheapest, and normally there is room for you to make profit. You can actually buy the cheapest, relist it slightly higher, making sure you're still undercutting the market so that the card that you bought is still the cheapest, but if anyone does buy it, you're still able to make a couple thousand coins. This method used to only really work on old Team of the Week players, anywhere between Team of the Week 1 to 15, but now it works on most cards. There is a way that we can take this a step further by maximizing profit, and this is by changing players' positions. We have talked about changing positions on rare gold players before, but we've never actually done it with Team of the Week cards. The premise is exactly the same. It doesn't work on every single player, so for example, you can't change the position of a centre back, so it doesn't really apply to that position. There's also some positions which aren't desirable, such as the left wing back and right wing back, so you also want to avoid changing those positions. But most players can be moved out of their default positions. There are a lot of situations where you might actually want to do that. It's actually preferred to have them as a different position just because their stats fit the meta of Ultimate Team. So the first thing that you want to do is find these players. One thing that I always do is head over to FUTWIZ. I go over to the player search and I set the parameters to gold Team of the Week player, select the leagues as Premier League, Serie A, Liga 1, Bundesliga and La Liga, and then the position is whatever position I am looking for that day. In this video, you'll see me use right mids, left mids and CDMs, and they will all be changed out of their positions to find better deals. So for example, right mid will be to right wing to right forward, left mid will be left wing and left forward, and CDM will be center mid. Now that you have the list of all the different players that you're looking for within that specific position, it's now just about going down the list and looking at each player's prices in Ultimate Team. You'll instantly notice when you search these players, a lot of them are extremely rare. And just like I said before, you will know a significant difference between the cheapest compared to the second cheapest. If you really want to and you want to keep it basic, you can just buy the cheapest and relist them so they're undercutting the second cheapest. But if you do want to maximize profit, you can take this a step further by comparing the prices for each position. So if you was going to look for a right mid player as their default position, you can then compare the player price, find the cheapest as a right mid, back out of the menu, change the position to right wing, compare the price again, back out, and then go and do that for right forward. You'll then get a good understanding of the price between each position, and you could buy the cheapest one in a right mid position, convert it to right forward, and you can list it for a much higher price. A good example of this is that I found Ferran Torres, who's an 84 rated right mid player from Man City. When I searched this player, there was only 6 on the market. The cheapest was listed at a 22,500 coin bid and a 29,750 coin buy now. The second cheapest was listed at 38,000 coins. I could have very easily put a bid in at 22,000 or even actually bought the player at 29,000 and listed somewhere around 35k to make sure I was still the cheapest on the market, but I was still getting decent profit once it's sold. But I also noticed that out of the 6 players that were listed, 5 of them were right mid positions and 1 was right wing. The right wing card was listed at 20k bid but 65k buy now, and it was also going to be on the market for another day. So I knew that I could buy the cheapest right mid version, change the position to right wing for just a couple hundred coins and list it higher than 38k. So that's exactly what I did. To maximize profit, I didn't just buy the player at 29k, I actually put a bid in at 22,500 coins and waited 3 minutes until it expired. Once it did expire, I sent it back to my club, bought a position modifier and changed that player's position from a right mid to a right wing. I was then able to list it above the cheapest on the market, and I decided to go for 38,500 coins. The reason that I'm able to make good coins out of this and the reason it works despite not being the cheapest on the market is because I've made it easier for other players. If anyone is looking for this player and doesn't just want the cheapest and they don't care about the position or chem style or anything, if anyone is looking for this type of player and just wants the cheapest, they're obviously going to go for the 38k. But if they are looking to buy a player specifically for their team that needs to be in a right wing position, it makes sense for them to buy mine despite it being slightly more expensive. There is actually 2 main reasons for this. The first reason is if they were to buy the right mid version at 38k and change him to a right wing, they would then need to spend some more coins, and this could make it more expensive than the 38,500. The second reason is that it just saves time. You'll see some examples in this video where it's a lot more expensive compared to just buying the cheapest and putting a position modifier, but because it saves other players times, they're willing to put a few extra 1,000 coins in which I get to use that as profit. In some cases, you don't even need to change the player's position. You can look at Team of the Week players in their default positions and find nothing, but when you go and look into a different position, you can find some really good deals. A good example of this is informed Gareth Bale, 85 rated right mid from Spurs. When I searched his price, there was 7 listed on the market. The cheapest was 34,500 in a right mid position, but in a right wing position it was at 33,000. For most players, they do not see any type of deal here. There is no point buying the right wing to convert it down to a right mid because after EA tax and the coins that you put in for the position modifier, you're actually going to lose a couple 1,000 coins here. But I knew going into this deal that the default position was right mid, so it's likely that that position is going to be the most common for this specific type of player. If anyone wanted a right wing, they would need to buy a right mid and change it to a right wing. So with that in mind, I decided that I was going to buy the right wing at 33,000 and just relist it at a much higher price at 38,000. And just like we was talking about before in the previous example, yes, it is cheaper for players to buy the right mid and apply a position modifier, but we're not targeting those players that are just trying to get it cheap. We're targeting those that just want to get a quick buy of the cheapest Gareth Bale on the market in a right wing position without having to waste any time buying position modifiers and applying them. And for these types of players, considering it is the end of FIFA 21, they're just going to spend an extra couple 1,000 coins just to save them time. And this is exactly what happened because we did manage to go and sell this Gareth Bale on at 38,000. You just need to look at the market and make decisions. It's likely that anything out of the player's default position should be more expensive than the default position itself. This is just because you're applying position modifiers which do cost coins. Even though in some situations it might just be one of the cheapest position modifiers within the game, it's still something extra on top. You just need to be smart with what you're looking at. This also isn't just a situation of where you go through the informed players and just look at buy nows. You can get some very good deals on bids. That's exactly what happened with Ferran Torres, as I managed to get him for 22,500 coins. Even if I didn't add a position modifier to list him at 38,000 coins, I could have still listed him at 35,000 coins to be the cheapest and made a very good amount of profit, being around 10,000 coins. So when you're going through, if you find a player that's way below market value on a bid, just add them to your watch list, wait for them to go down to the last couple minutes or 30 seconds and put a bid in. More often than not, at this stage of FIFA, you're going to win them. The last thing to say is when you actually list relist them, because it does take time to sell. They're unlikely to sell within the first hour. So what I like to do is list them for 12 hours overnight, and this is when I get the most sales. I normally wake up the next morning to find that half the players that I listed ended up selling. The rest of the players I'll continuously keep on relisting for 1 hour until it gets to nighttime again, and that's when I will relist them for 12 hours. In some situations, it might even take days for these players to sell, but that's where we get into diversification. You're going to be buying loads of these different players all at the exact same time. If you can't afford to do this, then you should really be looking at other types of trading methods to build those coins up and then move on to this trading method a bit later. You do not want to put all your coins into one deal, because in some situations it might take a couple days before you get those coins back. This is always something to bear in mind. If you do have any questions around this trading method, then feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going. So see ya.